Greetings. In this screen recording, we're going to talk about Hurricane Fiona, and we're going to see if it's going to be the next perfect storm. This is a prediction weather analysis video. So we're looking at some clips from the 2001, I think this movie came out. It's based off the book, which is I highly recommend you watch and read both. It's a really, really neat story, really sad story. And this is one of the iconic scenes in this story, which is based on true events from a storm that happened in 1991 in this same region Fiona is going to hit. And this fishing vessel was lost at sea, and it was called the Andrea Gale. So this is Hollywood's depiction of this boat going over in massive seas. This is like a 100-foot wave, maybe. It's a very, very, very big wave. So let's compare that to real life. And right now we're looking at some sail drone footage from yesterday. And this sail drone sailed through the hurricane in the Atlantic, and here's a couple other clips of boats in actual storm. So we can see the waves are much smaller than 100 feet. And now we've transitioned to looking at Fiona again from the air, and this is the eye wall filmed yesterday. So pretty good footage, and it's astonishingly beautiful, but we can also see that this eye wall isn't perfectly formed. It's not clear skies in the center of it, which you'd see in bigger, scarier storms. So it's not something to be trifled with, though. This meteorologist is showing a weather model that shows wave heights of 90 feet. And let's compare that to this storm footage, this ship in a storm, where we can see wave heights much less than 90 feet and see how impactful they are on this ship, right? You always point your ship into the waves so you don't get turned over broadside, and even seas as big as, this might be 20 feet at like a pretty close swell interval, maybe less than 7 seconds, has a big impact on the ship. So looking at this model from, I'm not sure which weather agency it's from, we can see significant wave height in feet right when this storm's making landfall on Saturday, in the upper 40s. So it's going to be big enough to pitch pull a 100-foot ship end over end. I'm not sure. And yet, if I was on a boat in this region, I would be sailing away, driving my boat away as fast as I could from that area. So another view of a ship in a storm in real life, just to kind of make a comparison here, understand what big waves look like. These are probably 20, maybe 30-foot seas, so this might actually be what is seen early tomorrow morning. And how does that compare to the perfect storm in this area? Well, this is the Wikipedia page for this 1991 storm. We can see the satellite image, and it looks like astonishingly similar to what we're seeing now. And when as we look back in meteorological history, this storm had a different formation, and it formed very quickly. There was another storm it merged with, but in terms of its track going into this Nova Scotia region, well, let's just look at what the current track is for this hurricane, right? It's going in the same location. Back to our comparison of a real ship in a storm. Here's another example of a cargo ship, so a much bigger vessel in big seas, but again, these are not 30-foot seas, these are not 100-foot seas. These are probably, 20 to 25-foot seas at a very close swell interval. Jumping back into Google Earth, we can see an almost identical storm track, and then we can see this other storm in the Atlantic that's not going to merge the same way we saw a merge of a two storms within the Perfect Storm. They're a little too far apart to merge together and become a bigger storm. However, the similarity is striking in terms of, meteorological coincidence. And here is where the last coordinates the Andrea Gale reported before she went down, and we can also see that is just around 365 kilometers or 200 nautical miles from land, and it's right in this current storm's path as well. So that's some interesting history there. I just took the coordinates from the Wikipedia page for that ship sinking and put them into Google Earth and dropped a pin. Another comparison here of a real ship in a storm. Now this is a ferry boat, and you would not want to be on a ferry anywhere near this hurricane. Okay, jumping into the Wikipedia page for the Andrea Gale, we can see a few things here. Let's just look at these metrics. This ship was 72 feet long, so if it was going to pitch pull like we saw in the Hollywood movie, that would be like an over 100-foot wave. It'd have to be, right, for it to turn it end over end. And we see the last broadcast. She's coming on, boys. She's coming on strong. So that's kind of sad for that disappearance. And then we can see some buoy data here. One buoy recorded seas of 100 feet, which is, or 30.7 meters, which is the highest ever recorded. So that's an interesting data point to compare and contrast to. So we've been watching this. Oh, and one last thing. This crew, 6-member crew, all lost at sea. They're all in their late 20s to late 30s. So again, we're looking at another ship in a storm there. And then we jump to our National Data Buoy Center, where we can look at the buoy data in real time and see how big the swells are around this storm right now. So that's what we're going to do. So we can see buoy station 44,137. Our wave height isn't above 10 feet right now. And then our sea temperature, air temps in the 60s, mid 60s. So we got a long way to go before we get to that 100-foot mark, about 90 feet. Let's call that around 25 meters for the kilometers, folks. And let's check another station, though. Right here we can see a buoy station at about 5 feet. So I'm not seeing a lot of indicators based on the buoys now that we're going to get to these big sea heights, that over that 30-meter mark, over that 100-foot mark. I don't know if we're going to get over the 15-meter mark or the 50-foot mark. I'll check the buoy data tomorrow morning when I wake up, and we'll see. It's going to be fascinating to watch from the safety of my San Francisco Bay Area home. And I don't want to make light of such a dangerous storm. Like, if you're in these regions, if you're in this ocean, get away. It's truly going to be a once-in-a-generation storm when we look how big it is on the radar. Right, look at these wind speeds. Just epic. We're seeing this meteorological spectacular and rapid transition from a hurricane to a hybrid superstorm this afternoon, resembling a powerful northeasterner with a hurricane-like core. So the eye wall will be dissipating. If we look at the weather.gc.ca information, they're giving a lot of information about how powerful the storm is, but they're not telling you to evacuate on this page. If you're in the region of this storm, get out. Do not depend on your government to tell you to get out or to come and save you during the storm. People who are in the path of this storm are in danger. So don't be like this ship in the sea. You can get out. You got a little bit of time still. So just do that. Evacuate now if you can, and do the best you can to get away from this storm. You don't want to be like this warship in Antarctica where we can see a close swell interval. Again, this is probably like, let's just say 15 to 20 foot seas, but these aren't, anything bigger than that. And it's still having a huge impact on the ship, right? Still washing completely over it. If this ship was sideways, compared to not hitting these waves head on, it could turn over broadside for sure. So I want to conclude this video with some actual footage of some major storms on land, and that's what we're looking at here. So big waves coming in, storm surge, not something to be trifled with. If you're in a region that's in the track for the storm, again, get out now. Don't wait for the sheriff or the government to evacuate you. Take care of yourself. Get the elderly out. That's what 100-mile-an-hour plus winds can do. It can rip roofs right off of buildings. It'll tear them apart like they never meant to exist there to begin with. And just like waves, wind can take a building and pull it apart in big pieces and small pieces, just like we're seeing here. If you're in one of these buildings, you could get pulled apart too. It's not something to mess around with. If you're following this storm as close as I am, I would love to hear your thoughts about what you think the wave heights or wind speeds or damage may be. Please leave that information in the comments below. Best way to support this channel as it's growing is to subscribe, even if you never watch another one of my videos again. I'm really trying to make it to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and you could be one of the first 1,000 if you help me by clicking that subscribe button below. In any case, that's all I got for you today. Stay safe out there if you're anywhere near this hurricane. Thanks for watching, and we will see you around.